Don't bite. I'm trying to make money out here. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make every
Oh
rapper's
man.
at it. Want to put on that red stick? You want to start with that?
Yeah, we live, we live. Oh, bring it through. Sure, bring it through. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man. People out there don't know.
Yo, my name ain't Justin. Let me tell you motherfuckers something. You know I like a lot of chicken, so please let me stick my big black dick in.
Man, this dude is like the most serious motherfucker you'll ever meet, dude. Like,
shit. But you know what? I know your panties really wet. So, after we can smoke a cigarette. So,
we got the fan of street artists in the spot. Man, I guess what we could say, the Rage Against the Machine artist.
Rage Against the washing machine, eh?
Yeah. What was your connection with that little?
I just love those people.
Yeah.
They're brothers.
Brothers. But you did the artwork. Break it down for those that don't know, man. Like that.
I was very lucky to meet when Zach was a very, very young kid. I don't even know if he still remembers it. He was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Very young. Actually, there's a story that goes, it was like me and someone told me about this much later on. It was one of the guys named Matt Gleason who told a story about how me and Beck and Zach LaRosa were at one of these Hollywood parties. And of course, you go to these parties, you're never included, you're never a part of anything. Just like we were all just sitting by each other, not really being a part of anything. 5 years later, Zach blows up, Beck blows up, and, rest is history. Rage Against the Machine, wonderful band.
So we could attribute that's you in the video with the artwork too, right?
I was very honored to go ahead and work with those guys and to carry that message and really start a movement about how valuable street art is and how essential it is to the particular commodity. I mean, in hip hop, it goes back many ages and periods in time. People were involved in the city, really doing rap, doing hip hop, doing tagging trains, and it was a kind of an organic culture that hooked up. And there are many people in New York right now, shout outs to Tracy 168, people that never really got props and recognition, people that basically got left behind. What you're seeing in hip hop is a lot different than the true marketing of the real groups of individuals out here that actually got their recognition. A lot of what you're seeing out there is manipulation of media, marketing, sales, and it's very, very difficult to be able to distinguish the real from the unreal.
Is it safe to say that hip hop has been taken away from its original goal?
I would say to everybody out there that in reality what we're being fed or spoon fed is that we're actually given a less than second a piece of bread of what this particular potential was, of this culture was at a particular one moment in time.
But as with anything with colonization, you're gonna take what you can to spread your ideal, right? I mean,
actually, that is the exact specific word, colonization, post-colonialism, because there's many different periods of colonization that have taken place in history. We are individual indigenous cultures, groups that have been basically fragmented, displaced. 200-year history, we're all immigrants, and yet there's walls being created, individuals being defined as who is elite, as who could stay in America. And that's why I'm very much interested in addressing those issues in question, which is who's America? Someone else's America, our America. Fuck you, America.
With the elitists, one of the things that you have been addressing and is Shepard Fairey.
I actually challenged Shepard Fairey to fight me in the cage. He's got really bad publicity right now because he actually got convicted. The guy robs, rapes, pilfers culture, which is a typical post-colonial thing to do. He actually robs culture. He takes from indigenous culture. He steals left and right. He never gives proper credit. You tell me a hip-hop culture that never gave credit, and I'll show you a guy that's not really with it.
Hip-hop is actually based on taking from jazz and soul. Like, we knew that's where we were coming from. So then, like, anyone who's involved in hip-hop, any facet of hip-hop, to be like, you know what, I did this all myself, this is all me, is kind of, but I'm in the know, and I just want to kind of let people know because of the whole Obey clothing and all that. But what happened is he used the Obama image, and that was an AP press, right?
That was actually put out by a guy named another Chicano, Manny Garcia. And Manny Garcia didn't really want to go ahead and really challenge. It's quote unquote real cool and hypno to go ahead and not challenge a guy like Shepard, Fairey, and Obey. But in reality, the whole history, the 300, 400, 500-year history of colonialism is to rob indigenous culture. Take from Chicanos, take from Africanos, take from Boricuas, and never give any credit. Rape the bitches, rape the mothers, steal the kids. That's the history of our culture.
So history just repeating itself?
History repeating itself.
So the hip-hop culture is the same as the Mexica culture, as the Tianos. It's the same culture, just being taken what they can from it, what we could actually market.
That's right.
And sell back.
That's right. And it's also what it is, what comes down to it, too, is that they provide themselves, they give themselves credit in terms of giving ownership. They provide themselves what is called, in a literary term, it's called authorship in a sinking ship. And the sinking ship is your particular individual culture, your name, your history, your identity. You don't know who the fuck you are. Everybody's out here trying to make money. Everybody's trying to be a hip-hop artist. Everybody's trying to be an artist, a graff head. But you know what? The market is closed.
Whoa, well, break that. Why is it closed?
Because it's elitist.
In the sense of what?
Because there's only certain people that are let in, a certain flock of individuals.
And how do those?
And that's the first lesson.
And how are those decisions made? Who's
decision
making those?
The decision is very obvious. All you have to do is follow the money. The money is the individuals. Now, if you want a real record deal, as opposed to a Happy Meal, you go ahead and hook up with Jimmy Iovine in the record industry. If you want to go ahead and make it in the other world, the art world, you go hook up with the top people in the art world. My agenda, my initiative is to challenge those powers that be, to call them into question.
Now, you've been challenging the Fairey and the Fairey. That sounded pretty dope. You've been challenging them, and now it seems like it's coming out. So do you attribute yourself to that, or? You know, the key in being a great hip-hop artist, being a great rapper, is vision. Yeah. Vision is where it's at. Vision comes with question. Questioning our culture in question. To have great vision, it's not necessarily the lyrics, but being able to see ahead of the time. You have great rappers like Tupac, and all those people were all visionary artists. So I was down on this campaign called Disobey the Fairey or Disobey Dumb Fairey, where he had every opportunity. Now I'm providing him a gift to meet me in the cage and fight me. We'll go ahead in the catch weight, and we'll fight in the cage. We'll go ahead and work it out. In a catch weight, like break it down. You're even willing to go in a catch weight, fight him, and then all the money will go to charity. That's right, because it's not about money. It's about. So anybody out there that might take this like, oh, he's just trying to make controversy, all that. No, you'll donate every single cent. Because I'm fighting for my manhood, my people, my culture, my name. What happens if you lose? He better be able to beat me. But he's actually, I'm sure he's about 165. I weigh 137. Okay, so you have to go up. I'd meet him at a certain weight class, but he's going to have to basically try to keep his weight under obey, He's going to have to obey his weight. That's what he's going to have to do. Yeah. OGHuskyRadio.com. With that, do you find yourself like having to explain the whole history of the obey when it's so. You know what the thing about is people. Here's the thing: is so the weird. People, philosophers, critics, historians have always said one thing: people have a short sense of history. Yes. About 4 years, and they go, "Who the fuck's that?" Yeah. All you guys out there that are really great rappers, you guys need great education to come up with great choices in selecting and distinguishing your rap. That's what makes Zach De La Rocha an incredible rapper. His mind, his mentality, he's brought up an incredible mother who was a doctorate, a father who was part of the Los Four. You can't. I wrote a story about him where I consider him the spiritual heir of the Los Four movement. How many people out there know what the Los Four movement is? The only way you're going to have really great lyrics is to educate yourself. With that, and then being involved as a street artist too, though, the history of street art, though, where are you really going to find ourselves? Being from the east side, we know about the streetscapers, but where is there actual documentation within like street art, where street art now is just like me putting up wheat paste posters? Like the street art where it came from was the Chicanos. Not many people know about the streetscapers. Not many people. More power out to Willie Heron. Yeah. The streetscapers. Just real quick. So anybody in the east side that is not familiar with the streetscapers, their work is on Chavez and Soto on the Payless and on Broadway and Daly. If you look at those murals that are there, those have been there since the 70s, and those were the streetscapers. They were murals basically breaking down history from. If you look, you have the Pachuco, and then if you look back, it takes you all back to the Mexica era. I think on both of those, but it shows family, it shows sense. But those were original street artists, you know what I mean? So that we have this whole, I guess, surgence of street art, but of what now? Of gimmicks, of commercial.
Let's break it down real simple. Graffiti hip hop culture, 1980s, totally overrides. Culture moves west, comes from the east. We're influenced. We don't know how to challenge that culture. Well, you got to be very critical to be able to understand what's going on and what's at loss. You know your history, know your identity, and being able to challenge those powers that be. So if you're trying to hip hop or trying to do something distinguished in the hip hop graph world, well, a lot of the shit's already been basically spoon-fed, marketed. It's a form of branding that is, quote unquote, brainwashing.
How do artists survive within that? What is the success for them then? Are they gonna have to look opposed to the monetary side of it and understand what the power of the words can do?
Absolutely. I think that you could see the very, very successful hip-hop artists, rappers, rockers have been able to challenge the very institutions in question. And very few people have that ability to be able to do that. Most people are like a giant sea that comes in and washes them out, and it's a new trend. But very few people know their history, know where they stand in history, and really can challenge the very powers that be.
I know we chopped it up before, but you have the Kiss My Ass Mocha, and your Museum of Contemporary Art, for those that are unaware. You have been the same with exposing Shepard Fairey. You have been trying to expose the mocha for a while.
Yeah. Well, I was one of the first graffiti artists, and another Chicano artist, more power to him, Leo Limon.
Yes.
Who actually is another great artist of the streets, who actually, I guarantee you, if you are a Chicano or if you are a Boricua, I guarantee you that it's that much more difficult to make a name for yourself in this particular climate, power, time, identity. You're overlooked, you're ghettoized, you're isolated. You know, it's very difficult for you to be actually placed. Look at OG Huskey Radio. Where are we located? We ain't in Beverly Hills.
We're in the beautiful city, the east side of Beverly Hills.
That's right.
East Los Angeles hip hop.
And you know, we talked about it as well. What keeps this radio station alive is your 9 to 5.
Yeah. And understanding of what the power of words can do and what power hip hop can. You got to figure, I could have black people, Mexicans coming through, white people just coming through.
That's why I take this station very seriously, because you are the unique, distinguished voice that maintains your integrity, and you're not affected by commercialism.
No.
You're not affected by a program director that's telling you what. So more power out to OG Husky Radio. Support the station, support its power of being unique.
Support all the artists, because the artists, like I always tell the artists, you just do the art, and when it comes to, like, you know, putting money to put whatever out there has to be put out there, we'll flip the bill, don't trip, but I just need art, like, you know what I mean?
Right. So here's the question. Why mocha? What's the importance of mocha, right? Well, mocha is the epitome of the way culture is going to be marketed to you in the future. In other words, it's elitist. It's the epitome of a provincial museum, which offers no apology that your views, your tags, your opinions, your concerns.
Hold the mic up. Yeah, go.
Your concerns and tastes do not fucking matter. Chaka, Euler, all those people that are really great artists that have hit and tagged the streets of LA were not included in what I call not art of the streets, but let's cash in on the fucking streets.
For those that don't know, that was a huge installment at Mocha. We have talked about this before, but people might not be aware. But what happened is that who were the two artists? They did a production outside, and it got censored. Right.
There was Blue, who came out, who's an Italian artist, and he basically did a very, very important political commentary. But the powers that be, Jeffrey Deitch, Aaron Gassman, Rosen Gassman, the two curators, independent curators, these museum individuals basically completely censored the individual work on that street And they said, we can't have this because it was sanitized. So what they had is graff hip-hop is being sanitized.
Straight up. I mean, if you do arts in the streets in Los Angeles and you're not including Chaka or Euler, it's kind of
questionable.
Very.
There's another thing that they did. They censored. They omitted. They create their own histories. That is a calculated element of post-colonialism in any conceivable way, is when they start inventing the narrative and giving themselves titles and identity. Well, that's what these motherfuckers did.
With the history, is it just not conforming, or is it bigger than that? Like,
it's bigger than that.
What is it then?
It's bigger because it's about money and power at the very end. What they did and what everybody didn't recognize is they stole your motherfucking culture, boys.
Damn.
They robbed you. And they charged you $20 to get in, $10. And then they came up with a campaign that Banksy was going to give Mondays for free.
Yeah.
That's because they were making a lot of money and they created another publicity camp. Culture creates its own publicity, its own media. And the only way people make it, for all my hip-hop brothers and MCs here with much respect and power to the great talent, is you have a talent team behind you. And don't you think that Banksy has a fucking publicity firm out there named Joe Brooks from LTD in London? On top of the fact that Shepard Fairey is being financed by a multi-million-dollar fucking fashionable company called Obey.
Okay, yeah, but
We got some
Cab
questions
Callis.
going on here.
Get in there.
There's some people. Cab Callis wants to ask a question.
Yeah, is my mic straight? Whatever. All right, cool. Because I love playing devil's advocate, especially in these type of situations. And mostly this. All right, one thing I've noticed a lot, because I kick it around a lot of old heads, and I got a lot of like respect for OGs that put in like extreme amount of works to get people where they are and don't always get credited, which is bullshit. But what I have noticed is that like a new thing pops up and we can call it a culture or a counterculture, and it gets popular. And the one person who like cashes in on popularizing it, who usually started as being like super authentic, but they decided to cash in, then they get crucified for getting money. And that's the one thing I don't understand is that like it's kind of
Shepard Fairey
or anyone in that position or anyone. Yeah, or anyone.
Shepard Fairey is the epitome of an individual that will rob, rape, and pillage culture without giving proper identity and sourcing.
Now, if you rob, rape, and pillage but give proper sourcing, is that okay?
That's called satire. That's called reuse.
I'm asking. I'm not being a dick.
That's celebrating culture.
Okay.
But when you fucking rob culture, when you take from
and
history,
don't pay homage.
and don't pay homage. Like if I was going ahead,
I was just making sure. Like if you're just like fuck this cat for getting money.
That's a very good question. That is a very good question. And what the fuck's up with Shepard Fairey's ignorance? Hey, Shepard, if you're fucking listening to this guy just answered your fucking question. Why didn't you fucking give proper credit to all those motherfuckers that you were out there ripping off? Like all those motherfuckers out there. Like all those people that were on that YouTube video that I basically challenged you. And here's the opportunity for you, Shepard, basically to clear your name and get some street credibility, because I know you love it. Instead of being a street crud, fight me in the cage.
What Shepard Fairey has like a team of people that put up his stuff. So
for sure.
As a street artist, you know
and
what I
like
mean?
exactly like what you were saying before. Like no one blows up without having a team and a money machine behind them.
That's
or one thing that like is very or just having people. Like if you've got like what I've noticed, like I'll put it like I'm a regular ass dude. I'm not from the hood. You know what I mean? But I've got homies that are from like the hood that are getting on because they have the whole hood behind them. They don't have a money machine, but they have the whole hood behind them.
How can we keep doing this back here for years and years
that's what
and
I'm
years?
saying.
You know
yeah,
what
exactly.
I mean?
But like I'm just pointing that out that like sometimes it's not necessarily a money machine, but having the people behind you is what always will push you. And the other thing I wanted to ask is that I know you were saying that you can rape, pillage, and all that, but if you give proper credit and homage, that it's okay. Can you shout out some of the people who have done that and like and pay respect to the people who have gotten money off the culture, but were like, you know what, I got this from so and so, I ripped this off, but like I'm out here trying to get my money.
It's not the word, rip it off. It's basically it's called appropriation.
Okay.
And it's basically giving homage or giving satire or parodying.
For sure.
And the key in that situation, that's why I got to give. From the very beginning of this great hip hop culture, I've got to name people that are really important in the hip hop culture.
I just like doing the knowledge. That's why.
Tracy 168, Stay High 149, very important people. Let's talk about Chaz.
Chaz, definitely.
Chaz, East Side Northeast, Veterano.
Yep.
people forget how important the number one thing is the power of culture and its history. If you forget history, history's going to forget you.
I can definitely agree with that.
Straight up. OGSQRadio.com. The Phantom Street Artist in the spot, taking all questions. Devil's advocate or not. So then with this uphill battle, do you see progress or?
I've seen so much incredible progress. I've seen an individual finally get convicted by the letter of law, something that I predicted a long time ago. And basically what I'm saying, I was one of the first artists out on the streets that were protesting Jeffrey Dite, and there is a movement against his actions and what he. People in the industry, in the cultural industry, are appalled at his actions of the fact that he overlooked a whole generation of important Chicano artists.
Okay,
and
so
Latinos.
people are unaware, like when they did the art in the streets, a lot of the Chicano artists weren't included
Absolutely.
in the art in the streets. Artists like Chaka from the East Side,
Willie Herron.
weren't looked upon as, you know what I mean? So then, when you look at it, we're not part of history, or why are not?
You're whitewashed from history, brothers. This is wake up, people. The descent of Mocha is a motif, a symbol of what's taking place in the future. This is an initiative of a war of ideological dilemmas. This is a battle of entitlement versus access.
Now, do you not look at that as like a survival of the fittest type thing, where it's like if you can play through like thousands of years of history ever since it's been documented, people are always trying to get over, whether it's on their own people, other countries, over on the other sex, on the other race, on the young or the old.
And what's
They're
the key?
always trying to get over.
What's the key? The biggest thing that fuels
survival.
It's called money.
Yeah, but how do you
money?
survive
Money will buy you position
but
and
money
power.
has become your position of survival. Like, I don't think money buys happiness, but money sure makes shit easy so I can go get happy. You know what I mean? And like maybe I'm brainwashed. Like I don't worship money.
So where's the success when you're dealing with an artist that has those feelings? Where does the success for Phantom Street Arts come? Because he is making a valid point.
Well,
we're in a monetary system.
In a world of contingencies of values, eventually it comes back.
Okay.
So your pursuit of money and your pursuit of your pursuit of a tiny entitlement, identity, money, position, and power basically fades because those things, and that's why the museum doesn't work when it's being run by a motherfucking merchant.
Yeah. I get
because we're dealing with philosophical ideals.
To that
of course,
other next level.
And I fully understand that. I think the main issue is that there's a lot of people who want more.
And
then there's people who want even more than that, who take advantage of the person who wants more, uses them as a pawn to fuck over their own people. I mean, I understand how all that works. I'm just saying that like that's the cycle of humanity. I think every human being that's born is inherently evil and inherently good, and we make decisions every single day whether I'm gonna do some fucked up shit and fuck over someone who's my race, my blood, my family, yada yada yada, or I'm gonna do some good shit to uplift my community. And I struggle with both decisions every day because I've done a lot of fucked up shit in my life, and I've done some really great shit.
We're gonna take a radio call-in show here. We gotta get you people out there. I know you got a lot of problems. Cab Collis is actually expressing some very major. Where is Dr. Drew when you need him?
But I'm being real though. Like,
that's some real
shit.
That,
like,
right.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And I'm gonna talk to you, Cab, because I know you got a lot to say. You're very passionate about what you feel, and I'm glad that you're really sharing this. But to bring it back, what's happening is that this is an issue that basically is taking your culture and forgetting your ass. And Cab, I know that you really want to make it bad. You really want to get that recognition of who you are, and what you feel you're owned to.
Right.
Okay. That's an example of hundreds of people out there.
I know there's mad people out there like
mad
me.
people that are exactly like you, Cab, that want to get up in the morning and want to get that and make and cash in. But the problem is there's only one Jimmy Iovine. There's only one particular individual that's going to make you sign that record deal as opposed to a Happy Meal. And right now, more people are getting Happy Meals.
Yeah.
If that.
But the thing is like
if that.
when I took to notice that like 5 years ago and I accepted that, I started investing like any money that I had into other stuff because I'm cool as long as I'm making like what I said to myself is what would I consider success in my artistry. And I was like, all right, as long as I'm making like an average salary of like 20 to 30 grand a year, which is not a lot of money. At least I feel like I'm somewhat successful in my position because I know
That's all off of music, or
yeah, that not everybody does that. And I started doing things like real estate and like getting involved in other stuff because I know that you can't put all your fucking eggs in one basket or you play yourself out. You know, this is going on a totally different thing, but I'm saying like I understand where you're coming from. Where like only certain people make it because they play the game. You know what I mean? And like
I feel like I'm a career counselor. And you know what?
And I'm playing devil's advocate
I got an 800 number out there
say.
called FUCK Art. If you got career problems with your MC, if you not getting signed, if you just getting a Happy Meal but not really getting that record deal, then you call 1-800-FUCK Art, and I will go ahead and work those situations out for you.
So with the Kiss My Ass Mocha, is this just gonna be an ongoing installation, one-time thing?
You've seen what I did with all these great references. You see what I'm doing is I'm doing it right. I'm actually speaking the voice of the people, this generation, this culture. I'm not motivated by financing, romancing. I'm interested in the real true cause. And Kiss is essentially a mockery of the institutions and the powers that be. Kiss my motherfucking ass.
So where can we? It's installation. You're gonna be doing it throughout Los Angeles, or are we gonna get it in the
It's a one-night performance that is going to be taken with Paradox Experiment, and actually I'm going to go ahead and give you that information. It's Kiss My Ass Mocha performance taking place at Paradox Experiment. It's a multimedia art and music experience. It's taking place Saturday, November 3rd, 2012. All ages, 21 with ID to drink, $15 at the door. RSVP to the Paradox Experiment at gmail.com. And I'm just a performer.
What can we expect from the performance?
You're going to see me out there with 3 little midgets, small people, singing Kiss My Ass, and basically closing with a Barbra Streisand tribute.
A Barbra Streisand tribute.
Yeah.
Straight up.
So, you know, I love parody, I love satire, I love to question, and, you know, I got a lot of rap, a lot of hip-hop. That's all. Because I played cool and I dig all jive, and that's the reason I'm still kicking it.
So then with that, you sell your art then?
No, I don't sell my art. My art is just there, you know. I don't sell my art. I don't make money in my artwork.
No? How about canvas? Canvas?
I make sure that no collector can get a hold of my shit.
So where do we find your art?
Just keep looking. Keep looking. It's all about looking, people. It's all about eidos. Greek word, eidos, very important word. It's from the idea, the essence of an individual's essence of a particular person or what they're about.
So then how are we going to properly archive the Phantom Artist Street?
You got a good question, right?
Yeah.
The good question is it's not necessarily the art, but it's the name, it's the question that has been raised. It's the challenge. It's a value. It's a contingency of value. My man, Cab Calloway.
It's documented by striking someone to have creative ideas and to think more.
It's the critique.
Right.
It's the critique, and that's the power. Let other people do the archive and the chronicling. I'm not interested in that. I'm committed to the culture in question, asking questions. And that's it. Provoking thought, being compelling. Fuck you people out there, the powers that be. If you want a ticket, you better zip it. If you want a show, well, you better pay your dues. Because it ain't much better if you just staying home playing with your jewels. Because it's so easy, it's so right. It's so easy, it's so right to teabag it all motherfucking night.
Was that the intriguing poetry that you wanted Clarence to put out?
Cab, you want to make it to the top real quick? I'll give you some formulas. You can teabag it all night. Ass kiss it all night. You can brown nose it all night.
Right.
Because it's so right. It's so easy. It's so right for Cab Calloway to go
Calloway.
and brown nose Cab Calloway to brown nose it all night.
It reminds me of a Jadakiss line that I'm stuck with what I'm stuck with because I don't suck dick.
There you go.
And yeah, there's
OGHuskeyRadio.com. Cap Callis, our new host, will be hosting every Thursday night.
And we are going Dr. Drew now.
In all honesty,
we are taking sexual dysfunctional problems.
Oh, man.
We are dealing
That'd
with
be like
sexual.
a 3-hour show with me, man.
All right. Well,
problem.
Cap, what's up with your sex life?
My sex life has actually been really, really good. It's really good.
Yeah, but this is a show to address questions of basically about your sex life. What's fucked up about it?
Where exactly is the
What is fucked up about your sex life?
I've heard so much about
know?
this thing called the clitoris.
Right.
Where
most,
is the clitoris?
I mean, I was talking to a girl the other day. She says most people don't know how to fuck her.
Wow.
Why is she fucking most people? That should have been the first question you asked her. She shouldn't be able to take that many.
And there's a guy in the yellow pages named Most People, and he's listed, and he's available after 9 to 5 and 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 and 5 to 9. So
most people ain't putting it down.
You know,
most people ain't putting
you
it
know
down.
my name ain't Justin. So let me tell you motherfuckers something. Because I do like a lot of chicken, so please let me stick my big back dick in.
OGHuskeyRadio.com.
Honestly, that's more or less the answer to everybody's problems right there.
Yeah.
The website,
Pirate Free TV?
Yeah, how spell that?
PYR8 Free TV. PYR8 Free TV.
We still putting
PY8 Free TV.
You still putting up stuff on there?
Yeah,
keep it
I'm
going?
doing all kinds of. I actually put myself up as Abraham Lincoln, and I was going to come back from the 18th century to accept the role of becoming the director of the Museum of Contemporary Art, because you know what? Imaginary solutions are where it's at, brothers and sisters, because, you know, it's in the mind is where it's at, not in the behind.
Okay, and I might mess this up, but I don't know how you feel, like, just on a history level. They said Abraham Lincoln, well, from what I read, Abraham Lincoln only freed the slaves because they were losing the war and they needed soldiers.
I think that Abraham Lincoln had an incredible position. He was in the right place at the right time. He was a fighter. He actually challenged other people on the streets. I think if you go back to right now, we're in the middle of an election. I don't call it an election, people. This is a motherfucking selection. You know there's some major riots going to take place if Romney gets in the office. Yeah. And Ohio is the swing state right now. Yeah. And it's a computer generated that's going to go straight to one computer, and a lot of votes are going to be shaved.
I just read too that they're already reporting that they have problems with the reporting of the actual.
Well, also, I mean, Romney's son owns the company that creates the machines for like 3 or 4 of the states. And at the end of the day, like also like I mean, everyone knows like an election, it's more of a census to seeing how many people are even give a shit about voting.
And that's why we need Rage Against the Machine to be back in public.
Those votes saying it's the electoral college that's selecting your president.
Yeah, that's the most realistic.
You know what I mean?
I got an argument.
You know why? Do you know why they market it being so close, even though everybody is?
They just want to see how many people even give a fuck
because
anymore.
If people are marketed, media is an incredible power. That's what.
Sure.
That's what really influences people. If people feel it's that close, then they accept the defeat. But if it wasn't that close and they saw that and they realized how they were being swindled.
It's like when like the Lakers lose and they're like, oh, they only lost by 2 points. We almost had them. Yeah. It's like, oh, Obama almost had another term.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's the same shit. It's initiative.
Is the internet as a media outlet already being censored? Is it censored already? Is it
I think within a decade that media supposedly, and bless its soul, is actually going to be owned by corporates. Yeah. The corporate powers that be, because that's the source of the economy.
Anyone involved in it that does not believe that or know that.
Well, it's not even that it's censored. It's a directional mechanism where, like, if you search something and then sign on to Facebook, there's ads for the thing you just searched. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like they're basically telling you, like, you do like this. You don't like fried chicken. You like barbecue chicken. You know what I mean? It's like, I do like barbecue chicken.
All those things are pretty obvious throughout. If you really dig into the annals of history, you'll find that the way that knowledge is created is very, very subjective, and they know how to do that. It's called structuralism, where they actually go ahead and you can author yourself into a position of history. You can basically reflect your culture. You can do a variety of different ways and means to basically subvert and covert your position of power.
Okay, now this is where I also wanted to go originally when I sat down. Is you're saying like for like years it's been going on, and my question is, it's always been like this. Like, can you reference a time where it's like, all right, one person wasn't like manipulating others to like get the initiative moving?
The core essence of our reality. Like, and here's my answer, Cab. The core essence of man. The core essence of reality has always been about power and who abuses power. But right now, because media is so powerful and so influential, we have misinformation. And misinformation, basically, we have to individually, collectively, as a group, have to close the door once and for all, and never forget to remember whoever tells and shares the story of his story is always seated in the position of power, as opposed to just telling it, just contrive my story.
Also, I mean, yeah, like every continent if you go to, their history book's gonna say something totally different than the continent next to them.
And I like the way that Cab is able to give his influence of the way that.
Well, I mean, I study stuff like that. You know, like I understand like the subjective process of like institutionalizing school. Like from you're a little kid, you're told you have to go to college or you ain't gonna be shit. And there's a lot of people who, like most of the people who are like some of the richest people didn't go to college. They're actually, you ain't gonna be shit if you're not part of a family that's already shit.
Straight
you know
up.
what I mean? Like look up like Bloomberg. Like that family owns the money for like, what is it? Something like 8 out of like they own like almost every like something like 8 out of 10.
That brings up a very important issue: is the study of economics.
Oh, for sure.
The
Gold loans
the study
in
of
the UK?
economics and the whole industry and
I
what's
was a
going
history
on
major, so
with the bailouts and the select individuals, the select 7 that are involved with that particular bailout industry. The study of economics has become sacred in tracing the history of money.
And that's not the first time that's happened in history either. It's just
Right.
history repeating itself. It's
At one
create a war,
particular
create
time in
debt, and cash
history,
in.
at one particular time and moment in history, the way that we shared our value and our wares was based on ancient gifts, in which we would share a gift in exchange for our own particular, the bartership market. But now we have a particular historical culture that individuals control the market. And what's taken place is now modern capitalism has revealed how the money system has contributed to the alienation, the competition, and the scarcity of our communities, where they now are destroyed. And now there is no infinite growth.
Okay, so
and where do we stand?
This is where I play devil's advocate, and this is a question that I've asked people before. Is like, all right, there's like more or less like 7 families that more or less run the economics of the whole world. And obviously everyone, like, you know, even myself is like, it's fucked up. They're keeping the majority of people in silence and under the thumb of their family. But it's like, if those 7 families talk to each other, just like, man, we busted our ass harder than everybody else. And like, we made it here. So we're getting shitted on for being like that good at what we did. And that's like, and I don't agree with that, but it's like, it's a devil's advocate question where it's like, you know, like if you were that person, you wouldn't look at yourself like, man, we're fucking assholes. You'd be like, no, we're fucking
If we were that
the
person,
world.
if we were that person, we wouldn't be here.
Exactly. No,
It's a simple answer.
It's a loaded question.
It's a simple answer, and very few people would even be in the position of being able to answer
there's
that.
like 17 people. It's maybe less.
Maybe less.
I'm just saying, but like that person in that position, like, you know, it's not like, I mean, their families for hundreds of years.
I wouldn't want to defend their interests.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't want to be their devil advocate either.
Yeah, it's just a question for people.
Here's the move of what's taking place
Provoking
in demographics of what's taking place in our particular culture. Right now, it's really bad to be an elitist. There's never been a financial divide. We've lost the middle class. We don't have the middle class anymore. We've actually lost that whole essence. And now more than ever, we are a nation of have-nots.
Yep.
Country was founded on slavery, modern day slavery, maybe. Cheap
Yes.
labor.
I mean, that's-
labor. Well, look at the manware system.
America's
and,
kind
you
of
know.
cursed in that essence, but if you
Yeah.
look at most, it goes back to the inherent evil of human beings in general. Like, you know, like, will you sell your neighbor's son to the guy who tries to kill your wife? And it sucks for your neighbor and his son, but your wife is alive. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, like, you know, like you're just trying to get on, and like people didn't have the internet, and like this would be like the illest house ever 200 years ago, and they were just trying to get here. You know what I mean? But like, do I think it's right? No, it's fucked up. You sold people. You know what I mean? And like killed people for molasses. You know, for the rum trade and the triangle trade and stuff like that. And it's even deeper than that because there were Africans selling to Africans to the people who were doing the trading. So it's like everyone was just trying to, like, they were like, they didn't care. They didn't know where that boat was going.
Yeah.
You know, and like, do I think it's right? No, but like cats were trying to eat, and like shit was really rough. And it's like, what will you do is the question. It's like the Running Man. Like, how far are you willing to go to survive? And some people will sell their brother, you know, like Jacob, right? If you want to go biblical, or like, you know, like, and there's other people who will sell out their whole family, like, you know, like in some kind of aspect to be part of like the correct family.
Well, we're not willing to do that. OGSQRadio.com. That's why we do what we do. But on Samira, it's history does repeat itself. But understand what this country was founded on, and understand that that's what will always continue. That's why it's the melting pot. Immigrants. The reason why we have so many people coming here is because we need that cheap labor. Once you get to the second or third generation where you have voting power, where you have the ability to get a driver's license in that sense, well, then we got to find another people to oppress and exploit, and that's what always happens. The thing we find hard is that hip-hop was made by us within their system to counter them, and they've even found a way to
They've
manipulate
appropriated
that.
it, and that's what's exactly taking place. Is that I'm here to be a kind of a alarmist, a person who's actually here to ring the bell that your culture is being robbed. Your culture is being taken away, and individuals like Shepard, Fairey, and other hip-hop whack acts are actually selfishly appropriated the urban narrative of graffiti, hip-hop, and other cultures, and hiring public relations firms to gratuitously serve themselves mammon, money, in exploiting these important, historical, rich cultures to take advantage of our community and our voices. Cannabis Street Artists.
OGHuskeyRadio.com. Thank you very much for the time. Co-hosting Cap Callis. But on some real, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, when we get something like this going, we open up the forum and getting the questions in.
Radio show.
There it is. Thank you again. Be on the lookout.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, let them Kiss My Ass Mocha. The Abraham Lincoln, I know you have it on the YouTube, right? Check out that performance.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, check that out, and then you guys will go to this show on
You should put it up.
November 3rd. We'll put it up on the blog. We'll have it up on the blog.
Yeah, I did that performance. I did another performance. I'm actually, everything that I'm always tagging is actually, you know, I'm tagging a performance piece. I'm doing some really interesting stuff.
Have you gone from the street artist to a performing artist? You think that's just a transition for yourself?
Not really. I think what people really have to do is really understand the essence of their language and their tools of what they're really addressing. If you have a good sense of your history, of know what's up with hip-hop, you could see what's taking place. But if you don't have a anchor, or if you're not aware, or you don't even have seen the beginning of that, you don't know your fucking culture. And what you're trying to do is you're just nothing other than a mimicry. You're mimicking what you last heard last night, a Tupac or whatever. But that's what it's about. If you look at my work is very, very intelligent, very calculated intent to address issues in question.
Even just like the Facebook posting, you could go through like a poem, and there's just so much reference in there, and I'm like,
knowledge.
Yeah. Are people even really catching it? You know what I mean?
Which is this? Is this
like the
This is one of my stuff?
Yeah.
Which one?
The one offhand I'm thinking about is when you posted last week about Shepard Fairey, and then you made all the reference to the Reich and all the other stuff you put in there. Like, I don't think people are really even getting the ideas that you're putting forth.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm in search of really great thinkers. Yeah. My day is filled with really finding great thinkers and being able to hermetically address issues that are really important out there. There's very, very few hip-hop artists that really have really hit it really good, you know. And I can think of only maybe a couple in my hand that actually have been great hip-hoppers. In the same way, people that are very visual. But I'm sad to say to everybody out there that's wearing Obey clothing and everybody else, I'm sorry, this man is not a great motherfucking artist.
Yeah. Google Phantom Street
Disobey.
Just follow it, and then he has everything that he's saying is just well documented. Look at the Obama poster that how.
Oh, no, I already know what he's talking about.
And
yeah,
read it up.
Definitely.
He just lost a lawsuit, and this dude, I've interviewed him like maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, about this coming out, and it finally came about.
I like to learn, so yeah, I listen to
just
everyone and everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not. Trust me, I definitely listen, and I don't knock anytime someone's trying to give me a gem or a jewel, I listen and shine
I think
it,
just
you know?
like for us personally, like even within hip hop, it's just in the presentation. You know what I mean? If people are not even understanding their own history, and we talked about this last week for about 2 hours.
Well, it's also when someone's willing to share knowledge with you, which is something that that's the only thing people really can't steal from you. If someone's willing to give you what they've acquired, that's like
people overlook knowledge.
Yeah.
Of course. People don't even know when they're in the company of great knowledge. Yeah. You know, and that's the one thing that's very beautiful, is that great art, a great expression, is a rare find. It's like a jewel. And very few people don't even know how to go about finding it or being able to establish a criteria of saying, oh, that's dope, that's unique, that's distinguished. I can give you those places. I can take you on a cultural tour of great knowledge. Great wisdom.
OGHuskeyRadio.com. The Phantom Street Artists. Look them up.
Hell yeah.
Any shout-outs before we cut out?
Yeah, all my people up there. When one, make two. And yeah, let's do all the old OGs from New York, Los Angeles, the people that have been forgotten, Texas, the Illinois, all the generation of great fighters, the Mayas, the Incas, the Manicheans, the Maccabees as well, the Judíos, the Boricuas, the Africanos, the great cultures that somehow have been forgotten. The great OG Huskey radio station, a very unique, distinguished radio, a voice of the ghetto. My props to you.
OGHuskeyRadio.com. Peace out.